Join us now on the election and the key issue of geopolitics. Kyle Bass, Hayman Capital Management, founder and chief investment officer. I could probably just say take it away, Kyle, but I want to. I've been trying to figure this out. Did China like the Biden administration? I mean, Trump has expressed admiration at times for not just dictators, but for President Xi himself at how smart he is, and not really an envy of being able to control that many people and almost autocratically. Is China happy or sad today, Kyle?
Yeah, I think look, Trump has an interesting negotiating style. Whether he kisses up to these authoritarians or says sweeping things like he says to NATO, he's less predictable. He is not, doesn't come from the hallways of the liberal elite. And so his style is very different than everyone else's. His comments about disbanding NATO, if you think about when Putin took Crimea in 2014, only 3 of 31 NATO members were paying 2% of GDP or more for defense. Post Trump's comments, it went to 18 pretty fast. So whether his comments were hyperbolic or whether people thought he was going to disband NATO or stop funding NATO or doing whatever he was going to do to abolish NATO, what he did was he scared a good 15 members of NATO all of a sudden conformed, and they were all in Europe, spending more than 2% of GDP on defense. So, today we've got 18 of 31. We should have 31 of 31, Joe. So when I think about China, particularly, it was Trump's National Security Council that really turned the dial, that really advised our country and our leadership on what Xi Jinping's plans were, on his plans to forcibly take Taiwan, on his plans to achieve global primacy at all costs, that they are actually not our strategic competitor, that they're actually the enemy. And in the last administration, it was the Security Council and Secretary Pompeo and various other cabinet level positions that really worked hard to combat China's call it smokeless battlefield on the warfare on the smokeless battlefield. And I think this time it really depends who his Secretary of Defense is going to be and who his National Security Council is going to be this time. Last time it was Steve Mnuchin and Wall Street fighting him at every turn. I wonder if his new Treasury Secretary, which I think will be Scott Bessent, will probably not be fighting at every turn to defend China. So I think Xi is not going to be happy with the new administration's China policy.
And we've got Scott Bessent coming up next.
Coming up next. That's you know what? This is going to take some time, Kyle, because I was just thinking we have talked about so much this morning, but very little about geopolitics. We could talk Ukraine. We could talk Israel. We could talk Iran. We can talk Europe and whether they're just mortified. I don't know what they're thinking at this point of what their future looks like economically, NATO-wise, and everything else. Where do you want to go? What comes to mind?
I think it's important to pay attention to the whole landscape that you just laid out. You have a scenario where there is no off-ramp for a Russia-Ukraine war. I believe there's no off-ramp for the Israel-Iran and Iranian proxy wars. I think the next move will be Israel taking out the energy infrastructure and the nuclear infrastructure of Iran. Iran has already publicly declared with all of their leadership that they're going to hit back at Israel. Clearly, Israel begged the Biden administration to not, let's say, strike the way that they wanted to strike pre-election. And now you've got Xi Jinping eyeing Taiwan and the Philippines. And he's told us since 2017 in public statements and speeches through his various standing members of the Politburo that he's going to take Taiwan during his lifetime. And, the next 74 days before the election be an interesting time for me because you have a scenario where all of these multiple fronts of war are open. And you have a scenario also in which the financial architecture of the world, CNBC is so good at talking about the economies of the world, but the financial underpinnings and the currencies of all of the countries surrounding the Middle East and in the Middle East, and all of the currencies and countries in Southeast Asia, the architecture of the world is in a position today that where it hasn't been this bad in a very long time. And it's a result of many of these currencies hyperinflating due to the inflation that we just pushed to the world in dollars. So I see more conflict coming. I don't see any denouements or rapprochements coming because the financial architecture is so damaged.